At the fore, at the stone, was a thing called hope. At the fore, at the stone, was hope. Always trying to stand. Why was she there? Why, of all the things, did the living always chalice to raise it to a heaven, and always, in prayer, in a sense, hope? Hope, like always, would touch the stone, and always the stone would say, no hope. At the two, like in our hand, was oblivion, who always said the same thing like always. Child, there is always hope. You must know that. A choke, like always. I cannot even save one. I try. The more that I try to save someone, they pass. A man would been what? Financially ruined? His job taken away? Always his wife had left him. The bills had mounted. Always understanding a resume had gone out, the work history checkered, and always trying to apply for employment. No. Your history, sir. Your employment. Holes in the resume and explanations. Job after job after job. Worthless. The man behind in bills that took his life. A noose around what? A doorknob, in a sense. He had choked, he had gagged, and he had died. Oblivion held the man close to the breast. The eyes looked up like marbles, in a sense, to look upon oblivion. And oblivion, like always, the eyes closed. But at the fore, at the stone, the fool on the ground touched the stone of a man who was nothing more than a bum. Who knows what he was? The people at work did not like the man. When they found out that he passed, it was always backwater. The news was just mute, and the workplace, the environment, when they heard about it, was just that, a murmur. The man had existed. Who is he? What was he? What was he? He kept to himself, and always, when they found out he passed, there was very little of anything of sentiment. At the two, the struggle was oblivion, who held the man close. She understood a thing called Kovic, in a sense, trying to understand the muteness of the man. Acceptance, he was cold, and yet, within, there was an ember that, what, burned. And yet, like always, the buffoon on the ground was what? Crying for a soul? What? In the ditch, in a sense? This hollow grave, in a sense? And yet, like always, a John Doe, in a sense. I cannot even save this one. I cannot. She always thought the thing on the ground, hope, that what? The stone was her. Always to touch it, understanding what it was a life. Did it matter? Did it? And yet at the two was oblivion, no hope, who always held down for hope, in a sense, trying to understand the man. What? She was quiet, oblivion, quietly, a white voice that always seemed to be just like that, so still, like a whisper. Have I passed? She was quiet again. So many of these had come this way. Oblivion called death, also called raft, because she hated life. But still, the small thing like what? A mouse in a sense? Have I passed? She was quiet like always, trying to understand the small thing. There was always the white rose, rot in a sense, and yet, like always, she would smell it and understand it was the carnation. Perhaps it was a mouse she held in her hands, but she did not offer up to heaven, and she did not offer it to the ground. She cradled it like anything. It was like a spark of life in her arms. She was trying to understand the significance of the man. He was a failure. He was, let me go, is what he said. She was quiet, struggling, oblivion, struggling to what? Put the mouse back to the ground for rot. But the business of death, in a sense, and the other side, to hear the buffoon sobbing like always, oblivion, no hope. I cannot even save this one. I cannot. I've tried, and I've always tried, and when I get to the place, they've gone. I got to him, and quiet again. He saw the body dangling from the rope, in a sense, a string around the neck. His neck, what, he had choked. And the business was just that. Oblivion, trying to understand the mouse, in a sense. A small man, in a sense. A carnation of rot, in a sense. Have I passed? Echoing the thought, like always, trying to understand, have I passed? Quietly, she cradled the mouse of a man in her arms. Have I passed? Quietly, she surrendered the verdict. She did not know where he went. She simply said yes. At the 4, the 5 in a sense, 5 meant to lie under the grace of God in a sense. The buffoon on the ground was weeping again. I cannot even save one. I cannot. When I try, all I can do is cry, like a baby on the ground, trying to understand on the side of oblivion the hour hand. Yes, I understand your plight. When you try to save someone, you cannot. All you can do is, well, she said it, pray in a sense. Understanding life is understanding death. Always, there is always hope. Even in this darkness, even in these times, even in the times when you know there's no hope, you always raise a chalice in a sense. You raise it to heaven. You raise it to all the things you know you can do to save a life in a sense. She held out her hands, the hour hand, to a second hand, a minute hand. At the 4, at the stone, was a thing called hope.